it means to judge somebody.
Yeah.
So for my definition of that would be to draw a conclusion or hypothesis about someone based on stimulus that you have in front of you.
Okay.
Absent a conversation with that person.
Okay.
Like judgment is just a conclusion.
So when we say like don't judge me, like I feel like a lot of times we probably take it out of context, but like
it means something
use
else.
It wrong, right? So like if I have a conversation, without conversation, if I see a picture of you like doing something out in the street, whatever, I come up with some type of conclusion based off of what I've seen. Is that considered judgment?
Yeah.
Yes, but I think judgment just has a negative, connotation to it. Like every person we talk to, we have some sort of, I guess, not a bias, but we have some kind of just like a thought about them in general. Like when I see Kevin, I go, okay, this is my guy. He works out a lot. He's, like you have a certain frame about this person.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. But I think the judgment we need to focus on is when we put people in, like we just try to, I guess, separate ourselves because someone is different. That's when I feel like judgment is an issue, when we kind of put in negative aspect where this person doesn't agree with what I feel, like, or don't agree with my morals, don't agree with how I feel a person should be. That's when I feel like judgment can be a problem.
Okay, so it sounds like you're saying like in the essence of it, judgment isn't a problem.
It isn't a problem.
Okay,
it's just when
I think so.
It's just human nature. Conclusions are drawn by shit you see in front of you
all the time.
Every time.
Right,
exactly. You can't help it.
I agree.
It's just whether you take those judgments and you turn them into prejudice.
Right.
Yeah.
And you start killing people because they feel a certain kind of way. Or
Exactly.
Like, say some kind of thing. I can roll with that. I can roll with that. I think from the very beginning of like any type of education or like learning to be a human, you're taught to see and learn patterns and make some type of conclusion based off of that. You know what I'm saying? You see your friend get bit by a dog. Shit, maybe I should stay away from dogs. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's a survival thing. You know what I'm saying?
Kept us alive for a long time.
Yeah,
I'm still here.
Exactly.
You feel me? And so I mean, I've never really considered like judgment to be a negative thing because we say only God can judge me. You know what I'm saying? Don't judge me. You're judgment free zone. Like we've hello. We've this has been like the judgment has been woven into a lot of like capacities in our life, especially like education or like the corporate setting, where like we fear judgment because it causes an issue. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not really sure how to really go about it and like share, you know what I'm saying, like what it really means to be judged,
I think the real essence about it is perception is reality. So when people are judging you, you feel like, okay, if I want to be perceived a certain way, I have to act a certain way. And you don't really want to go against the perception you have of yourself. So that's when I feel like judging can be, I guess, just something on on top of your head, because you're trying to just avoid just living against your perspective. But I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying.
I think I get where you're going.
It's just pretty much people's perspective.
I think the problem that like a lot of us have with judgment is like, how are people going to treat me based off of how they're judging?
Right.
Yeah.
Because how do I treat people based off how I judge them?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, that's
maybe that
the problem.
says more about
Exactly.
Okay.
It says a lot about how you feel about yourself and about the way that you view yourself in comparison to the world. Because a lot of what I personally feel like, a lot of what we get, a lot of the energy we get from other people is because of the energy that we put out.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you're always being judged negatively or people are always looking at you negatively, what does it say how you judge? Exactly. You're probably just like a really negative person.
Exactly.
So judgment in itself does not have to be negative. Yeah. But if every time you're judging somebody, you're finding something negative, it's probably because it's a reflection on you. Yeah. So I think that's the issue that a lot of us have with judgment.
Strong point. Yeah. I've noticed that in like, especially in conversations with people that you're not that familiar with. Exactly. Like you're quick to say like, I'm gonna say this, but don't judge me. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because like if somebody said that shit, you're like, you a nasty motherfucker. You're like,
if you just say it casually and move on with your life, you have to get that disclaimer. Hey, I don't think this is a normal thing.
Exactly.
But I ate the ass.
Exactly. You have to I agree with you. I just said, today was just my day. I agree with you.
But it happens. But the whole concept of being concerned about people's judgment of you, especially right now, and I feel like most of y'all seen this video, and Denzel touched on it the other day. Like we used to be concerned about like the judgment of people like in front of us and around us. Now we care about 25 million.
Right.
Exactly.
Now we care about, because IG has made it such that like you don't just graduate and move on and then you bump into people later on down. You kind of carry everybody with you in your pocket for the rest of your life now.
Yeah.
So it's like there's constant, you feel like a constant presence with everybody all the time. So you're always worried about how they view you the more you put out content.
You're
you know what I'm
always
saying?
on.
Yeah.
You feel like you have to always
and they're
be
always
on.
with you.
Exactly.
And if you go ghost, people are going to start reaching out to you. Where have you been? Are you okay? 'Cause they feel connected to you. But that constant worrying about and catering to that group of people is a form of judgment appeal. Because you're constantly putting out content to these people and they'll let you fuck up and post like a bad picture of you in that bitch.
Right.
Like a butt dial, like
you're going to get
screenshot.
screenshot. You're going to get somebody group me.
You know what I'm saying? Your world will be wrecked if you fell asleep for 2 hours and let that shit ride out. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how, and the residual effect of that 2 hours of judgment can have just long-term effects on you for months at a time.
Yeah.
Because that's the information, that screenshot shit is transferred and spread and people are fucking vicious.
And we care so much though.
You know what I'm saying? People care.
You know how many groups he's gonna be in?
Exactly. Exactly.
So as far as the concept of judgment, it's big in society currently, and people fall victim to it a lot. It's part of the reason why I kind of scaled back my participation in social media, low-key. Because I felt like I was caring about people when I don't. In general, I care about the people that care about me and my close friends, but I felt myself like not with a pressure, but like having to consistently post content. Unless I do that for my job and my passion. Yeah. If I'm not into that, there's no need. I should feel a need and obligation.
Yeah.
And it was starting to feel like that low key a little bit.
And you got to keep it up.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, cause people was reaching DG, where you been, bro? I'm like, I got the same number. Hit me up.
Right.
Yeah.
What you talking about?
Yeah.
You really care?
I saw you last week at the
It's
like,
all
where you
good.
been though? I ain't seen you.
The thing is, if like you don't post things on Instagram,
That means you ain't doing it. That means
Exactly.
you're not going to the gym.
Right.
That means you're not going to
It's not
work.
happening.
That means you're not spending time with your family. You're not going to the movie. You're not doing shit if you don't
social media.
document it, didn't happen technically to the world.
If you don't post it don't count.
And that's just kind of like a world I just want to just kind of pull back from. But it's just part of life, man. You can't run from it. It's just part. You just got to be aware. That's all I say.
You make some strong points, bro. I remember, so I love A Different World. And so like I was watching Different World a few weeks ago, and I realized that when the season ended, the reason there was such a moment is because they knew that after that day, they probably would never see each other again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At that time, like you graduate from college, like that's it. You go back home, you work, you never see them again.
Yeah.
If you do, you might see them with like their 18-year-old children.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Kelly from the class of 97.
Right. Oh, this is
like
I'm bringing so and so to school. Now, you know what I'm saying? That was it, bro. That was it. And past that, like you didn't really. People probably care less about what other people thought of them because like it's not gonna matter tomorrow.
and people more likely to chase other shit and chase dreams because they had less judgment to worry about.
Exactly.
And
With
I
people
also
that
feel
they
like
care
though,
about.
you weren't worrying about this something coming up and biting you in the ass 10 years later.
Exactly.
That's the other thing. Because we were just having that conversation that things on the internet just don't die anymore.
Exactly.
It does not go away.
Right.
And you can think, again, mindlessly posting something that may or may not have been offensive. People may not have even seen it. Nobody may have given a fuck at one point. And then 20 years later, your tweet just pop up on
Not even
CNN.
After you
or
done made it.
whatever.
After you done made it. 20 years.
Niggas in the clear.
You the
It's like,
CEO.
but on
tweet from 2018.
October 5th, 2018,
Right, you said,
and
I quote.
And then it's like, well, I don't want you
Niggas
judging
aren't
me.
shit.
You said
What did you
niggas
mean by
wasn't
that?
shit. But you're married to a nigga today. And it's like, okay, well.
The president of the NAACP, Robin.
And piggybacking off of that a little bit, I'm worried about the things that we say now that we feel are okay and are not offensive, may be offensive later. Like, what we're saying right now could be cool between us.
Today.
And then 10 years from now, we watch this and go, oh my fucking God.
I said that.
Wow. So it's like, that's even worse. I feel like we're held accountable for our whole lives now.
Yeah.
Our whole lives.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing,
like
though.
re-edit this.
Hey man,
You chop it and screw it, right?
I feel that's a bad thing.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I
disagree.
don't think that's a bad thing. Because at the end of the day, I feel like no matter what age, there are certain things that you should know are wrong. And you should know the public, even if you feel a certain type of way, whatever, the public should not know that. There are certain things that you just don't say outside your house. My mama told me that.
No. I'm saying like, you said
certain shit you just don't say.
But you no,
in front
I
of
said
people.
That's true.
I said, but like, there's things that were socially acceptable that are not that are
I don't
okay.
necessarily
But
think a lot of things were socially
slavery
acceptable.
went on
though.
for 300 years, and every white person thought it was A-okay. 300 years, because at that time,
But it wasn't.
it was
so,
all day.
It wasn't.
You think they felt they were racist? You think
niggas back then.
You think them white people woke up and said,
Damn, what's up?
damn, I'm a shitty person. I'm gonna just keep the slavery going though. Like, no, at that point in time, they didn't know, but they thought it was what it was.
I agree.
You know? So
I think you're trying to compare slavery to like people
but-
saying ignorant stuff on Twitter. I think those are two completely different things.
But
though.
no, but you see, but like
He's doing concept. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
Think about this though. How about this? You from Miami. Miami back, 90s, early 2000s was very homophobic. Very homophobic. And you know you probably said some homophobic stuff.
I never grew up like that. I didn't grow up like that.
See,
didn't grow up and I didn't raise like that. And you know that. I was not raised like that. And I've had that conversation. Certain things, and again, this is what I'm saying.
But don't you realize
certain
that people
things
mature
are
and
wrong.
realize that certain things are wrong? And
But
at that point in time, you don't realize it's wrong.
I feel like bigotry in general isn't something that you should have to unlearn. You should need to be taught from day one that you don't treat and you don't talk about certain people in a certain way and thinking that's okay, and you grow up like that.
I mean, that's what
because
happens
I know if you
Such
say
an
that,
ideal world.
Right, yeah. That is ideal.
It's such an ideal
it's not the
world.
majority.
But you acting like that doesn't happen every day. Like people still are like.
It's not okay though, is what I'm saying.
I'm not saying it's not okay.
It's not okay. It's
Right.
not okay for you to. It's not okay for you to be a bigot at whatever age and then grow up finally and be like, oh, I'm okay now. I learned. I know better.
That's why Bill Cosby in jail.
Well, hey,
where people thought one thing was okay at one time and then now we don't, right?
that was never. Do you want to go there with me? Do you want to go there with me? You want to have that conversation with me? Want to have that conversation with me? Because we can go there.
That could be a whole podcast by itself.
We can,
You don't
we can
even,
go there.
you don't even want to hear
But
what
I
I got
just
to
feel
say.
like bigotry,
But they ain't do shit to Weinstein.
racism.
Weinstein chilling.
He's not, but okay. And even if he was chilling, I don't give a fuck what anybody else did. Bill Cosby was dead ass wrong.
I agree.
So whether anybody else doesn't go to jail, that nigga belongs in
I
jail.
agree.
I don't give a fuck.
We agree.
I don't care.
You got it.
I agree.
I'm not arguing that point on camera.
To be honest, I think some of the some of the judgment issue comes with like our attention span as well, because like we are worried about like a snapshot of our conversation dictating how someone perceives our entire life.